In the reality comedy show, Modern Family, we'll be looking at Cam and Mitch, who are a same-sex couple, and we'll be looking at the issues that they face in their everyday life. One of the main issues that they face is the lack of social support when they go through the adoption process to get their daughter Lily from China. Another problem that they face is the power balance and how that affects their marital satisfaction throughout their relationship. And then the third issue is navigating their gender roles, because they are a same-sex couple, and where does being the breadwinner and being the stay-at-home parent, where does that all fit together, and how do they navigate that?
Well, the LGBT community did not really experience a warm welcome as they entered into the limelight, which decreased their social support among heterosexual dominant communities, and their social support only further dwindled when negative stressors impacted them. One stressor that same-sex couples had to fight for was their addition to their human rights, including the right to adopt a child, which was thankfully passed in 2011. However, many states still considered it illegal for same-sex couples to adopt a child, and some states even went so far as to refuse service to those individuals due to their sexual orientation. In Modern Family, Cam and Mitchell have experienced some delays within their own adoption agency within the show due to their sexual orientation, and which causes only more spousal fighting and distress within their community. Now, social stressors also are weakened in the LGBT community due to the negative societal attitudes that surround them, especially in states that are in the Bible Belt. According to the Journal of Gay and Lesbian Social Services, 187 surveys were sent out to adoption agencies that revealed that 14% of these adoption agencies refused service to these couples due to religious conflict, while 39% refused service to these couples due to input that from upset members of the community that they were in. This type of distrust of the LGBT community only further decreases the type of acceptance and inclusion that these people feel within our society. Eventually, Cam and Mitchell explore avenues outside of the United States to adopt their daughter Lily due to the discrimination that they are facing within the adoption agencies, as well as the lack of the support our representatives are getting them. Now, finally, our social support is weakened their social support was weakened due to our social support was also negatively impacted due to the limited opportunities these types of couples had to enhance their relationships within our community. This type of resistance that never gives them a chance to fully integrate within our society is also seen in other nations. For example, in Norway, they do an experiment that revealed anti-LGBT sentiment and placed heterosexual couples in a more superior light. Their findings revealed that majority of their citizens saw same-sex couples as undedicated and were unable to provide a nurturing environment for an adopted child. However, I'd like to say that Cam and Mitchell are as dedicated as any parent because they can provide a positive nurturing environment as well as a financially stable environment for Lily to succeed in.
Now, looking at the power balance between Mitch and Cam, a lot of times you'd think that the power would go to Mitch just because they have maybe a more traditional relationship where Mitch is the breadwinner and Cam stays at home with their daughter. But actually, in a study done by Schneider in 2015, it was found that same-sex couples, their influence isn't always based on sex role orientation. It was actually found that the power influence comes from conflict styles. So if you have a more avoidant conflict style, you're going to have less power in the relationship. And like looking at Cam and Mitch, a lot of times Cam will come at Mitch with a lot of issues and a lot of arguments, and Mitch will withdraw. And so in that situation, Mitch has less power than Cam does. In a study done by Schwarzwald in 2008, they looked at the relationship between power tactics and marital satisfaction. And they found that when there were more power tactics, especially harsh ones like abuse, marital satisfaction goes down. So looking at Cam and Mitch, a lot of times they don't use power tactics, especially harsh ones like abuse. And so their marital satisfaction will be higher than other couples. And then finally, looking at a study done in 2014 by Quebec, They did an interview with young men who have sex with men, and the young men reported that power came from various factors. Some of them were education, income, sexual positioning, prior relationship experience, and that sort of thing. And so by looking at all this evidence and these studies, power comes from a lot of different sources, and it doesn't necessarily just to defer to the person who may have the breadwinner role. Especially in Cam and Mitch's situation, Mitch may have more expertise power, so he may have more financial knowledge, and Cam may have more personal power, where he's more charming and more loving, and maybe be able to use that personal power to win arguments or disagreements with Mitch. So both of them have different sets of power and different conflict styles, and so the power is actually pretty balanced in their relationship, and it's important to recognize that Mitch doesn't always get the power just because he's the breadwinner.
Now, when navigating gender roles and gender ideologies, you have to think of the traditional gender roles as specifically talking about masculinity. Being that they are a same-sex couple, they are both males, they have this strong social expectations of being breadwinners, being the stronger person in the family, having more decision-making power. Now, in their relationship, this is a lot different. They are each males, so they both have these expectations over their heads. Now, they found that these traditional gender roles affect same-sex couples just as much as they affect heterosexual couples. In Wade's study on same-sex couples and masculinity ideology, they found that they were actually the same as the heterosexual couples on distress in the relationship. They also found that those relationships that focus on trying to meet expectations, and when they don't meet the expectations, their relationship satisfaction decreases a lot. Now, this is due to stressors that are also caused in both feeling like they need to perform as well as they hope they will in the family, such as taking care of Lily and making each other happy in the relationship. Now, when it comes to that, they both tend to fall in this category of traditional roles. Being that Mitch works as a lawyer, he might feel that he has to provide for the family more, and Cam is a football coach, so he tries to be more masculine in that he does coach football, which is seen as a more masculine gender role. Now, after that, you have to look at the differences in same-sex relationships to heterosexual relationships, specifically speaking with decision-making. When it comes to a same-sex relationship, they have a more egalitarian relationship in that they decide on making decisions at a more equal level, whereas in a heterosexual couple, they tend to have the male maybe more dominant than the female in the relationship, and that causes more stresses. So when it comes to a heterosexual relationship, their equal decision-making power actually helps increase their relationship satisfaction. Tornello, Sonnenberry, and Patterson also did a study on the division of labor. Now, this is important when looking at Cam and Mitch's relationship because they have Lily at home and they have Mitch as the main breadwinner. So when looking at heterosexual couples, there's great stress put on the mother of the family, seeing that she is the homemaker in all traditional gender role types. In the same-sex couple that Mitch and Cam are in, they actually find that same-sex couples have a higher relationship satisfaction because the person that has the lower paid job outside of the home actually participates in more homemaking stuff. Now, this helps in their relationship because it eases the stress so that when Mitch comes home from work, he's not feeling like he also has to compensate for the fact that he's been gone all day long. And this can also help Lily, being that she sees that their parents have an equal division of labor. When she sees that, that can help her see that when dividing things out equally, sharing chores and helping out at home when both fathers are not home, this can help her also increase the family satisfaction. Overall, the relationship satisfaction, being that they're both males, is important at looking at the fact that they are equal and they try their hardest to be equal. And if they can meet their expectations, then their relationship satisfaction is a lot greater. Overall, Cam and Mitch have employed each of these things in their lives. They've dealt with social support from the community and the lack of it in the LGBTQ community, and they've also dealt with overcoming these, such as they were able to adopt Lily in the end. And then when you look at the power balances that they have both taken their time in balancing Mitch's expertise and that he might be better at finances, and then Cam might be better at staying at home and being more charming and loving and taking care of Lily and making sure that the household things are taken care of. Now, this does not mean that one of them has a more power in the relationship. This actually means that they're more equal in that they're sharing the power in the relationship, which will overall increase their satisfaction. And then when it comes to gender ideologies, they need to look at the fact that they are same-sex, being that they both have these expectations of being male, being masculine, and having a stronger role in the relationship. When they realize that these are influences on their relationship and they come to a good communication with each other on solving these issues before they arise and being more equal in their relationship and having ideal expectations, then their relationship satisfaction overall will increase.